Hi, everyone. It's me, Krylios, Team Racing Productions, MC and producer. And today I have joining me, I'm so happy to have him, Commissioner Harry Thomas Jr. Welcome.
Well, thank you, and it's good to be on your show. And I mean, I really appreciate this opportunity and the kind of diverse group that you reach out to is the kind of group we need involved. So I appreciate you having me today.
Certainly, certainly. Thanks so much for being here. So, I want to start this all off for anyone in the audience who's watching and they don't know you to just give a brief introduction of yourself and your background.
Okay, so I'm a native Washingtonian, third generation. I was a former city council member here. I'm a returning citizen, and I'm one who is now the current national committee man for Ward 5, as well as vice chair of my ANC. My life has been rooted in sports, has been rooted in community involvement and activism, and so I'm very pleased. I went to DC public high schools. I went to a historically Black college, Bowie State University, which I am BSU, you know. I like to shout that out to folks and let people know that.
Is that what they say down there, BSU, you know?
BSU, you know. And when everybody tries to steal that from us, we tell them that we're older than most historically Black universities, and we were the state teachers college for professors. So you had your teachers trained at our university. So I'm very proud of that.
Well, I'm an HU also, man, and I know HU, you know. So
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
sure which one came first.
My wife's a Howard alum. My daughter's a Howard student now that plays softball there. I also didn't tell you this. I'm a college softball coach at Washington University, and I run a local program for RBI, which is Reviving Baseball in Inner Cities. And my niche is I'm a Title IX guy, which is diversity. I coach women's softball and develop programs for people.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. Well, you're running for this position, in the shadow representative. Tell me what about this moment or this cycle, this time that made you really want to throw your hat in the ring?
Well, for me, I had originally started off running back from my old seat. And I guess, this whole
what changed with that? What changed with that?
Changed with that for me was this whole issue around voting rights, about the whole voting rights bill in the nation. And really, if you want to be honest, I want to be honest with everybody listening, what really ticked me off was what happened around our DC jail and our felons there. And then when we had the insurrection, you take these people there who are entitled people and give them a whole separate set of facilities within our DC jail, when we've always known that jail has been inappropriate for housing our folks who we hope will come back from restorative justice. And the start is giving them adequate facilities. And so now we sit in a kind of hypocritical way where we had some Congress people come over there. Congresswoman Green went over there and they complained about these folks who had taken over, who had an overturn of our government, who needed better facilities and separate, safe facilities from others. And so that really pricked me a little bit. And I also just thought that my platform is broader because I do a lot on returning citizens and rights of ex-felons. And I'm doing a lot of things that I think lead to social justice in this nation. What really worries me is that we're leaving behind a lot of long-term residents in this statehood conversation. I've been in this game since 1980. I was a president of Young Democrats. I was involved in marches. I was involved in the Jenna 7 protests that Al Sharpton had. I've been involved in all these kinds of issues, even going down to Forsyth County, which was in Georgia, for social justice for African Americans. And so I have a network nationally with this Returning Citizens Coalition, and I'm also a Greek. I do something called the Divine 9 Plus. I'm an Omega, but I think we saw where with our vice president, how we enacted those groups together that have come from historically Black colleges primary, even though some were started at PWIs. We brought together our intellectual capital and really made our Greek organizations what they are. Most people don't realize the Greek organizations of African Americans are not just in college, they're for life. And so they're for life power. And I said the Divine 9 Plus, because not only did I did the Greeks, I did the non-Greek affiliates too, because we have groups like Groove 5 Groove and other groups like that, Swing 5 Swing, social groups that are African American, that needed to be included because they need to be part of this discussion. So that's really, and we did a thing during COVID with Raphael Warnock, where we did a very impactful thing, and I focused on two things: the Divine 9 Plus and the returning citizens, and we really got people that have been disenfranchised traditionally more involved in the process.
I see. That's important. And speaking of importance, talk to me about, you touched on one already, but touch on a couple more, of those issues that you're so passionate about that you'd really like to tackle if elected.
Well, a couple of issues. One is right
Mm-hmm.
now I'm very involved also locally. I want to tell folks in this whole issue around our police women who have been discriminated against, African American Black women. Let's make that clear in our Metropolitan Police Department. And that's part of this whole criminal justice reform. I always tell people that you can't heal others if you're sick within. And so you have these sexual harassment and these discrimination clauses that are involved. I'm very involved in that, and I want to support these African American women in their plight and make sure that justice is done for them and that the proper service that they gave to our city is repaid to them. I'm also involved in a great deal in the LGBTQ community. I did a lot on the council. I was one of the pivotal votes on marriage equity. I thought that was important. I think that there's another big issue that's looming out here with transgender individuals that are being discriminated against. And so my crust is fighting against things that are injustices to all people and all groups and make sure we all get treated equally. I'm also a big advocate for, as you heard, sports and other things that I do. And I tried to reestablish some of the things I've done in helping our young people. But in my professional life, I have a business called District GC, and we do returning citizens training. Currently, we've been blessed by this city and able to do some things with the Department of Transportation to train guys, give them life skills, and put them on construction jobs so they can have not just a job, but a career. So I do a lot of those kinds of things, and I think those things lend to who I am. And I also am very concerned. I have a 93-year-old mother who is aging in place, and our seniors are being left behind in this city. And I think that our senior population needs to be counted. And there are a number of issues that are going on in this city that need to be addressed to ensure we've got ranked choice voting coming up before our folks. We've got all kinds of issues that will affect how we vote. Right now, the council is considering a bill that talks about voting. But more importantly than all that, we can consider all we want. But if we're not a state, everything we do still has to go before Congress, and Congress can ride it up or down. And so for me, one of the problems is when you take people like Ted Cruz, who is now saying that our mask mandate and other things around COVID should not be here in DC, and they're going to tell us what we should do best for our citizens, how they wanted to weigh in on, for example, we passed the marijuana laws here, and then they wanted to overturn those. So every time that someone wants to play political football with the District of Columbia on the Congress or in the Senate, they can, because we're not a state. And so my role, honestly, I'm running for a position that's non-paid and using my life skills and my expertise over time to try and bring more, I think, energy to what is needed to bring everyday people to this argument. Statehood is for people, all people, not just a certain segment of economic people. And now we're getting a big push. You know, one of the reasons people used to say we weren't going to be a state is we were too Democratic and we were too Black. And so let's be clear about that. Now the tides are changing. A big issue, it has been economic parity in this city. We have one part of our city, which is upper Northwest, where you have median incomes of $235,000, and you can go over, starting where I live, in places like Trinidad, where the median income was $17,000 per household. And so those disparities have to be cut down. We're quickly becoming a city of the haves and the have-nots, and we need to make sure everybody's brought along. And so I think the national platform and the platform for statehood is the perfect place for me to do that.
Certainly, certainly. Well, when does voting actually begin for this?
So right now we're in the period of petition collection. So before that, I don't like to tell people we cannot be on the ballot. I have to get 2,000 signatures to run, and they have to be valid District of Columbia residents. So right now the petition period is getting ready to start. We need to make sure that people sign those petitions so I can get on the ballot. And then once we're certified by the Board of Elections to be candidates, we then put on the ballot for the June 21st elections. And that's the primary. So I'm running as a Democrat. There will be other folks running as Republicans, independents, statehood, Green Party members, and different kinds of folks. There was an interesting party, the Umoja Party, that was created by some friends of mine that people never talk about. It was very interesting. My good friend Mark Thompson and Norman Nixon and Kimry Hughes and other folks started that up. So I think that once all that's done, and then we go into the general election, which happens in November, we would then see, you run off against the other folks. DC is a Democratic town, but one of the things I always tell folks is a lot of people are not what we have as traditional Democrats anymore. They go to different parts of the party and they go with who they think is the best candidate is, as opposed to toting the party line. So I hope I represent the good, the bad, the best, the brightest of our party, and move forward from that primary.
Certainly, and voters, you have to make sure that you're engaged, and therefore, to check your status, register to vote. You don't want the election to come and you realize that you are not yet registered to vote. So you can text Team Racine to 40649 to check your status, register to vote, and that's from headcount.org. Thank you, headcount.org, for making this available. Now, Commissioner, how can people find out more about you, more about your campaign, more about what's going on, and, to support if they need to?
So just go to my website, which is harrythomasworks.com. And I named that because I think you have to be a working council candidate, whether you're a council member, whether you're a person who is involved in this whole political arena. You have to be accessible, touchable, and with the people. And so please go to my website and you can join up, sign up there. We transitioned it from my council race now to the Harry Thomas Works piece, so that you can make sure that you help us get on the ballot first. That's what I need. I need people in all 8 wards. I want this to be a diverse, across the city, touch everybody ward. Try to, people don't believe it, but there are some racial and economic divides in this city that we need to bring together. There are also some social and sexism divides in this city that we need to try and work around. And I think, if we have to have, the big tent, bring everybody in and get people involved.
Yes, that's important. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Harry. It has been such a pleasure talking with you, and I wish you the best of luck on your campaign.
Well, I thank you, and thank you for giving me this platform. Thank you to your audience that's following, and whatever you do, please vote. They showed you how to vote. You can go right on your phone and do this right now. So just don't take a chance. I was involved with Rock the Vote, so Rock the Vote, and Harry Thomas for U.S. Rep 2022. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And to our viewers, please follow us on social media. But most of all, thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.